What's up, you guys? It's Mel, your favorite cutie, also the hostess with the mostest, and you are watching Passion Fruits, the podcast. So today I'm joined by two beautiful ladies. They do different things, but what connects us all is the passion that keeps us going. So I want to introduce Zaida and Jordie. How are you guys doing today?
Good, girl. Doing good. We alive and we well.
Period.
We here.
You know what? I started to respond to that with "I'm blessed and highly favored."
Oh, love that.
So-
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes. Okay. So I like to talk to you guys about, your main art form or whatever you guys are doing right now. But I also just want to open people up to get to know you guys. So do you want to talk about some of the other things that you guys do besides like your main craft?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
So besides my main craft, I do lashes. I'm
Oh,
a
okay.
licensed esthetician.
Oh,
I've been
yes,
keeping
yes.
that real secret.
Yes, yes, yes.
I do lashes though. I'm a licensed esthetician. I work at my mom's shop. She loves lashes.
Mm-hmm.
In like Hawthorne,
Mhm.
Gardena. No, not Hawthorne. It's like the Hawthorne area. And so yeah, that's kind of like what I do outside of music and my main passion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So my main focus is nails. Like
Uh-huh.
how my brain works, I just have to focus on
On one
one
thing.
specific thing.
Okay.
In my past life, I used to be a talent. I used to work for whatchamacallit. I used to work in talent.
Oh,
So I
really?
used to host programs for high school students of color to learn about design.
Oh.
So I've always been in that creative field. And so I decided to step out on my own and follow my heart and create art. So
Okay.
that's kind of like what all of my energy goes into these days.
I did
Okay.
just notice your nails. I love your nails too. As soon as you said
Oh, thank you.
Right.
Yes.
So I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's just get straight into it. I always ask my guests to bring an intention. Everybody wrote one down. So who wants to share theirs first?
I'll start.
Okay.
My intention was very simple since I'm on a podcast
Mhm.
and we're sharing each other's, journeys and stories.
Mhm.
My intention is to share my story and be authentic to myself.
Love that. Wonderful. That's such a good intention.
Yes. I want it to be just like straight to because I'm like with intentions I can overthink it.
Mhm.
But I was like, just again, speak from the heart. So mine was to share, talk about nail art, self-care, community care,
Yeah.
and connect with other beautiful souls, creative
Yeah.
souls. So I feel like I'm already doing that.
Yes. Yes.
Off to a good start.
Yes.
Okay, my intention is to get to know what makes my guests passionate and create a space for conversation around those things.
Love it.
Okay, so let's just start with you, Zaida.
Yeah.
You're a songwriter, a
Yes.
very successful one at that.
Thank you.
Do you want to talk about like how you got started?
Man, how did I get started? I mean, I've been writing songs like since forever, like since I was a little girl, little kid.
Really?
But I would say I got started like actually like writing for artists like right around like 2020, the pandemic,
Mhm.
everything shut down. I didn't have no work, didn't have no school. So that was like what for me I feel like opened the door for me to really like focus on songwriting
Mhm.
and then everybody was just on their phones just like what we supposed to do.
Yeah.
So I was able to just connect with more people than ever before.
Mhm.
And then that's what opened the doors for me to write for Ruby Rose and Rico Nasty
Mhm.
and just like get more placements. Like I literally got my first ever placements during the pandemic. So
Yeah.
that's pretty much where it started for me.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing. What about you? When did you get started with your nails?
So I've always done nail art. I want to say like since I was young, I wasn't allowed to wear press-ons. Actually, it was considered grown. But when I was little, I always tell the story that I would go to my friend's house and have sleepovers. This is when I was about like 9 years old.
Yeah.
And we would go to like the CVS and
Mhm.
buy press-ons. And back then they were not good at all.
I used to do that too.
Yeah, so I would be like, for a weekend, I'll be a little baddie, and then have to take them off when it was time for me to go home. But I've always been a creative spirit. I've always like done DIY things as well. Like I would
Mhm.
do bracelets. I
Mhm.
would do like random stuff, like create beautiful baskets. So middle school, high school, and college, I started to do nail art. And I would do it for my friends, do it in dorm rooms, and so after a while, I kind of stepped away from that creative spark. And during the pandemic, I was called back to it.
Mhm.
So that's kind of like where this chapter of my life starts off.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's amazing. So it seems like you both really like when everything was shutting down, everybody was like going inside and figuring out what they really wanted to do.
Pandemic passions.
Yeah,
Oh, I love
pandemic passions.
that.
Yes, yes. I love that.
For real.
Okay, so let's get into that then. So we know that when we do anything creative or just have a business, there's obstacles that come along with that. So do you guys want to maybe share a story of like maybe your lowest point and how you overcame that?
I've had a few low points.
I'm telling you.
Which one should I talk about? No. Okay, I would say like one of the recent ones that I had that I really had to like overcome and like be like, okay, you know what? I'm not gonna let this deter me from what I want to do.
Mhm.
Is around 2021, I had a Chris Brown placement,
Yeah.
and it was like, well, let me back up even more. I wrote this record, co-wrote this record with Emac and Goldie and Tristan, like these really dope, talented songwriters,
Mhm.
way back in like 2019 or
Mhm.
2018. And so we had the record for like 3 years, and like we were holding on to it for 3 years. Chris had cut it. Leaks was coming out for 3 whole years. We was waiting for this to drop.
Yeah.
Then it finally got confirmed for his Breezy album in like 2021,
Yeah.
and it was on there literally up until the day before it dropped. Like he had posted like the little track listing on his Instagram.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait a minute, where did my song go? That shit was not on there. That shit got cut literally the day before. And I was like so sad because I was putting all my hope into it, and I was
Yeah.
already like pre-announcing it and just
Mhm.
thinking like shit was really finna pick up after that. And it was gone. So it really made me feel so discouraged and
Yeah.
so just like, oh my God, like this was gonna be my moment.
Yeah.
But I feel like I also did learn a lot from that situation as far as just like don't over announce and pre-announce your wins until they
Yeah.
actually happen.
Yeah.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Mhm.
Don't overly focus on this one opportunity. Like kind of detach yourself a little bit and focus on other things that are going on, so that way if one thing don't go right, you're not
Yeah.
all distraught about
Yeah,
it.
like, oh, this was my only
Yeah,
hope.
like this is my only hope. So
Yeah.
that was something that definitely took me a minute to
Yeah.
like kind of get over and like, you know what, okay, like let me get back into the studio and let me
Yeah.
still keep grinding. But I'm here still, so you know, we still going at it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I met you as an artist
Oh
at
yeah, back in the
first.
day.
Yeah, yeah. And I was so shocked to
Yeah.
learn that you're not putting out your own music anymore.
Yeah, no, I
Like,
totally
can you
backed
talk
out.
about, I'm interested to know like the main difference between choosing the path of a songwriter versus
Mhm.
like an artist,
Mhm.
and like what made you decide that like, actually I'm just gonna pivot
Yeah.
this way.
For me, it was really just well, for one, I was still new. Like
Mhm.
when I was trying to do the artist stuff, I was still new. I didn't have no resources. I didn't have no network. I didn't really know nobody in the industry.
Mhm.
So I feel like that was one aspect of it. And at the time, I still was trying to do the songwriting thing a little bit too.
Mhm.
Well, not a little bit. I was definitely still trying to do the songwriting thing, and I felt like it would kind of discourage people from working with me because I was so new. They were like, "Oh, well, like." Are you just saying you're a songwriter so you could try to work with me and then
Right.
drop it on your own? You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
So I'm like, let me just pick one thing and stick with that.
Mhm.
And to be an artist is a lot of work. You got to put all your own money into
Yeah.
it. And especially if you're a woman, there's even more that you got to put into like looking good and paying for makeup and hair and nails,
Yeah.
all types of stuff. So I'm like, this is way too expensive.
Yeah.
I'm only 19, 20 years old. I don't
Yeah.
have the money for this.
Yeah.
But as a songwriter, I go into the studio for free.
Yeah.
I don't gotta pay for no engineer.
Yeah.
I don't gotta pay the producer. Like I just get to work.
Yeah.
And so I love to make music, just
Mhm.
period. So I feel like songwriting kind of gave me that like vessel to be able to just do what I love to do.
Mhm.
And then if another artist drops it and cuts it,
Mhm.
cool. My work is still being put into the world.
Yeah.
People are still gonna know who I am if they care about songwriters.
Yeah.
And I still get to do what I like to do.
Yeah.
So it was just a better fit for me during that time. And then I was like, when things adjust or change and I'm ready to maybe get back into the artist stuff,
Mhm.
then I'll do it on my own
And you
time.
have a whole catalog because it's
Yeah,
like
I
you're
have
always in the
so many
studio.
songs. So yeah,
Yeah.
like it made more sense to me, I feel.
I love
Yeah.
that. Okay, so Zeta talked about needing to focus on one thing, and I know that you mentioned that earlier. So can you talk about like how you decided that okay, I'm only going to focus on nails. This is what I'm doing,
Yeah.
and I'm putting all my focus into that.
Definitely. So I remembered the name of my role because I'm like, that was a past life. So I was a talent DEI lead for
Mhm.
my company.
Mhm.
So I worked in corporate.
Yeah.
And So I was doing that full time. Meanwhile, in 2020, during the pandemic, um, my heart wasn't being fed. So I had this epiphany when I was in the shower, like, why don't you start a nail business? And this was actually after watching an episode of Shark Tank,
Yeah.
which I know has its issues, but it sparked that idea for
Mhm.
me. And so it took me 2 years to like really decide, like, okay, there's so much noise in my life right now that I need to clear out because I keep putting this thing that I actually love to the side.
Yeah.
It keeps getting pushed to the side because I have to do this, I have to do that. At that time, I lived in the Bay Area. I had lived there for 7 years.
Mhm.
I had a partner, I had an apartment. Um, and so it was just like all of this other things that were distractions taking me away from what my heart truly wanted to do.
Yeah.
So I had a dark night of the soul,
Mm.
those moments where you have to like just be in your room and really sit down with yourself and have a real conversation with yourself.
Yeah.
And I realized that I had to leave that part. I had to like literally like sacrifice that life
Mhm.
in order to make space
Yeah.
for the life of my dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know that could be scary because
Yes.
I've done so much starting over, starting,
Mm.
stopping, stepping away, coming back. So I know how scary that can be. Like, what was going through your mind? Like, what would you tell somebody who is like debating, like, should I go for this? Like, should I follow my heart or should I keep it safe? Like, what's your process?
It's simple, but it's not easy.
Right.
Follow your heart.
Mhm.
Follow your joy. Like, I know like we all know what brings us joy, and it's probably that thing that we avoid
Mhm.
because we're scared of it. We're
Yeah.
like, what's that poem, that beautiful poem that goes like, our deepest fear is not ourselves, our that we are inadequate, our deepest fears is like that we are, going to be great and magnificent.
Mhm.
So there might have to be some sacrifices for folks who this might resonate with. There might have to be some sacrifices to make, but
Mhm.
I truly, deeply believe at the end of it, if you make that decision, you're going to be so grateful for it.
Mhm.
And if not, like in that journey, you're going to learn and grow. Like you can't lose,
Yeah.
you know?
Mhm. So,
Love it.
Zeta,
Love that answer.
what are some sacrifices that you've made that you feel like you made in order to get where you are now?
Well, trying to think if I should give a literal answer or like a nice spiritual answer, like how you gave.
Yeah, let it
I think it's a
flow.
mix of both, honestly. I mean, at the end of the day, to gain something, you do have to give up something else,
Mhm.
whether that's, nights out with friends or your love life or
Mhm.
sleep or whatever. Sometimes you might be a little short on the bills, so you can't get your nails done, you can't get your
Mhm.
hair done right now. Like I
Mhm.
thug it out. So it's a mix, I feel like, of sacrifices I've made, just depending on like what specific phase I was in during that time.
Mhm.
But I mean, there's been times where I for sure was giving up a lot of like sleep and rest and fun.
Okay.
Like especially earlier when I didn't wasn't really as established and had as much like of my own resources.
Mhm.
I feel like I was just all into the grind.
Yeah.
I wasn't having as much fun as I feel like I've been able to have like recently.
Mhm.
And I also wasn't getting as much rest. There's literally times my mom would be like, Zayda, are you taking any drugs
Go
to stay up? I'm like, no, girl,
Oh
I'm
my
taking no
god.
drugs.
She just came out and asked you
Yeah,
like,
like, are
"Are
you
you
taking
on
any
drugs?"
drugs?
Go there.
Like, girl, you've been up, you went in the studio till 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Then you woke up at 7 o'clock to get ready for school by 10 o'clock, and then you repeat it.
Mm.
I'm like, I'm just doing what I gotta do. I'm young, you
Yeah.
feel me? I'm in that grind mode. So I feel like a lot of like comfort and fun for
Yeah.
me, I had to
Yeah.
like sacrifice
Yeah.
and just grind and just focus. It
Yeah.
takes a lot of work to like be consistent with something for a long period of time
Literally.
because you naturally don't have energy for a lot of other shit.
Yeah.
And can I curse?
Yeah.
You don't have a lot of energy for other stuff or shit and while you're doing what your main thing is.
Mhm.
So after a long day, you might just want to go to bed. You might not feel like going out, or you might not
Yeah.
have energy for a little date, or
Mhm.
you might not want to FaceTime, or
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying? So stuff
Yeah.
like that.
That's why I feel like I can't be a songwriter because I'm ready to go to bed. Like
Mhm.
after 10, are we doing this or
Oh,
like what's going on? Because I'm
trust
going
me,
home.
like my late night studio era, like I have those studio sessions
Yeah.
still, but I'd be like, man, I'm not finna be here past 12 a.m. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
business
sorry.
hours, so we gonna cut it.
Yeah, and
Let's
even 12 a.m. is pushing it because
it
I be
is.
tired. Like I'm ready to
Yeah.
go home. Like
Yeah.
so, that's one thing for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what's the skill that you feel like you've had to develop taking your nails from an idea to full? You have like your packaging, you have like your events now, you have your content, which is another thing I wanted to talk to you about. Like, you're so consistent with your content, it's so high quality. Like, what skills did you pick up along the way to become what you are now?
Oh, wow. First of all, thank you. Like,
Yes, it's really good.
thank you.
Seriously.
I appreciate that. Skills. The biggest one for me is like just being a business owner. I didn't really have examples around me
Mhm.
of what that would look like, because I know we both know like when you're doing anything and you're kind of like that creative lead, like you wear so many hats, right?
Yeah.
And so and I'm still on that journey, y'all, of like, okay, how do I operate as the leader of this versus like someone who's executing on the day to day. And
Mhm.
even though it's just me right now, I still feel like it's important for me to maintain that perspective,
Mhm.
and understand that as I continue to grow, like some of these tasks that I'm doing, like thankfully I'm gonna be able to hand them off so that I
Mhm.
can be at the strategic level
Yeah.
and not continuing to execute at the execution level.
Mhm.
So but yeah, that's like kind of the biggest the biggest thing that
Mhm.
comes forward.
Yeah. I wanna ask you the same question
Mhm.
because I feel like business and music is the Wild Wild West.
Oh, it is.
So how are you holding up? Like, what are some things you had to learn, like, when you're
Oh, man.
collaborating, sharing your music, your art with people?
Yeah. I feel like I've had to learn a lot, and I've had, like, different phases where, like, I feel like I needed a manager, I needed a team to handle this for me, handle that for me. But I feel like one of the bigger things I had to really learn, especially when I was kinda, like, newer, is just speaking up for myself.
Yeah.
And just being straight to the point
Mhm.
and not being afraid to be straight to the point. Because I
Mm,
used to be so, like, shy and timid, especially when I was
mm,
a little bit younger, like, "Well, should I tell them that, I wanna get paid for this? And, well,
Yeah.
mm,
what should my price be? And, should I just go even if they don't wanna pay me? And
Mhm.
should I take this percentage even though I feel like I deserve more?" And it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, like, what the like, I'm putting in my work, I'm
Yeah.
giving you what I have to give you as far
Mhm.
as my gift and my
Yeah.
time, my energy, and that counts for something, and that
Mhm.
deserves what I feel like it deserves. So
Mhm.
I feel like for me, my biggest thing was just speaking up for myself.
Mhm.
And like when you set the tone for like how you want to move, because like the industry, there's no rules, really.
Right.
There's no specifics.
No
It's really just like, yeah,
regulations.
there's no regulations, there's no handbooks, nothing. It's just like how you decide to move and handle your business. If people want to work with you, then they'll move accordingly to that. But
Yeah.
if you just let people do whatever, they're gonna do whatever. So
Yeah.
I feel like that was a huge thing. I mean, like the basics, obviously, like learn publishing and learn
Mhm.
splits and
Mhm.
stuff like that. But mostly just speak up for yourself and just
Yeah.
set the tone for what you want. And
Mhm.
if people want to work with you, they gonna work with you. They don't
Yeah.
like it, they're not gonna work with you.
Yeah.
And it is what it is.
Mhm.
So
So, speaking of splits, do you, like,
yeah.
go into the session, like
I don't go into sessions
yeah.
talking about splits,
Uh-huh.
but when it's time for a song to drop
Okay.
and it's
Oh,
time
so
for it
you
to come
wait,
out.
you don't so you'll leave the session and it's just like if they happen to say, like, "I want this song," then that's when you do the splits?
Typically, I mean, if I'm working with, like, an indie artist or whatever, that's something that we'll kinda, like, talk about before because the dynamic is just a little bit different.
Mhm.
But if I'm, like, going into sessions and we're just, like, pitching or we're just making records for pitch,
Mhm.
and then it ends up getting placed sometime down the line,
Yeah.
then I feel like that's usually when we'll start talking about splits and stuff.
Mhm.
But just as far as what I feel like I deserve, I feel like I've become a lot more just like, "This is where I'm at with it." You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So,
I love
yeah.
that. Hmm. Yeah.
non-music person. What is splits?
Oh, we should explain that.
Yeah,
Okay,
let's
you go
explain
ahead. You
that.
explain.
Splits is basically so whenever you have a record, you have the publishing side, then you have like the master.
Mhm.
Basically, just your royalties on the back end.
Okay.
And splits is the percentage that each person who's a part of the song gets.
Oh, okay.
So, like, if me and Melody, we do a song together, I might get 25, she might get 25, or depending on who does what, I might get 30, she might get 20, she might get 40, I might get 10. It just depends on like how much you contributed, pretty much.
Mm,
Yeah.
mhm.
Do you feel like working in corporate like has helped you with your business now at all?
Yes,
And how
absolutely.
so?
Yes. So I worked for a creative firm, a creative design firm. And the biggest takeaway that I take from that experience, and I know why I was there, is they were a place of generating ideas,
Mhm.
right? And we all generate ideas like
Yeah.
every day, like every day. Nobody has no ideas,
Right.
Like, part of having a brain is
Right.
like we have ideas.
Yeah.
But kind of like prior to me being where I was now is like, well, how does that like microphone come into existence? Like, how do our phones
Mhm.
how did that process come to be?
Mhm.
And being there kind of showed me all the steps
Mhm.
of how to take this idea
Mhm.
and bring it into reality to make
Mhm.
it a real thing.
Yeah.
And it sometimes just starts with like after that idea, write it down on a piece of paper,
Mhm.
sketch it out. And so we have post-its everywhere at
Yeah.
the job, and I actually still have post-its now.
Yeah.
Like I use them in my room and in my office. So that was like the biggest thing I would say from the corporate space. But also kind of like being in this multi-million dollar organization
Mhm.
and having the ability to see different aspects of the business.
Mhm.
It gave me a glimpse into, okay, this is a direction I want to go.
Yeah.
And now I have that experience, that lived experience, to be able to see like how it's going to look like. It's not this amorphous thing that I don't know what it is, but it
Mhm.
became more concrete,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. I think this is a good time to take a little break, ad break. So this episode is sponsored by Lock Love. This is Rosewater Spray. Make sure you guys check out passionfruitsla.com. Get your rosewater spray. It's good for your face, good for your hair, good for your life. Okay. If you are interested in being a sponsor on this podcast, also go to passionfruitsla.com. You're welcome to have your items on the podcast as a placement. We can have an in-person commercial similar to what we just did here. So check that out. All right, you guys. Next. So I had you guys bring something special. This is our show and tell segment. So who wants to go first?
You go first.
Sure. So I brought with me my journal.
Oh, so cute.
For folks to be able y'all can see it. So I've always, since I was younger, I don't know if anyone else had this experience, but when I was younger, especially as young girls, like, oh, like journals are so cute. And I would write in them for a little while and then like wouldn't touch it. So I actually have like a little old collection of journals that have like a couple of pages written in it. But really, y'all, like I keep going back to 2020 because I think it's just like it really was that moment, that reckoning for so many of us. Like you need to you need to change, essentially, is what it was. And so since 2020, I have completed whole pages, like whole journals. And I'm actually like on my last couple of pages for this one here too. Some deep stuff in here. It helps me to kind of like get out of my head and put things on paper. When you do something about that process, just shifts the energy, at least for me. And so this is my fourth one, and I'll be moving on to my fifth one very soon. So
wow. So what do you write about? Mostly just your life and what you're going through?
So yeah, mostly like just reflections from the day, things that I want to celebrate, things that I'm still processing. And yeah, that's probably like my dreams too. I'll put them in here as well. Yeah.
Oh, that's such a great that's a great thing to do, like an exercise to do on a regular.
Definitely.
And to stay consistent with it too.
And the
Yeah.
consistency, I keep hitting this, and the consistency part too. So you brought that up again, and I was like, that was something I've been just meditating on recently. Like, there's something about consistency that's like the secret sauce to anything you do.
Literally. Yeah, sticking with it.
Yeah, sticking with it.
For me, I brought my hat, my merch, my It's Regular merch.
Come on, merch.
I'm literally wearing it. I dropped it like the end of 2022. It was out, not available right now, but it'll be available soon.
Maybe
So, yeah.
pre-order? I don't know.
Yeah.
So, okay, tell us about It's Reg.
It's regular. So basically, back around 2020, maybe a little bit before that, I just started like every time I would be in the studio, I just put it's regular, it's regular, it's regular because it was regular. Like I'm in the studio all the time. This is my grind. This is my daily thing. And then people would start saying it to me when they would
Yeah.
see me, like, it's regular.
Mhm.
And then they would be like, Zaida, why don't you make some merch? And I wasn't taking it serious at first. I'm like,
Mhm.
I don't know nothing about merch. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not doing no merch, you feel me? But then it just kept kind of coming up. So I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm not gonna expect the world from this, but
Mhm.
like, let
Yeah.
me just try it
Mhm.
and see what happens and see what I could do and see where I could take it, see if
Mhm.
people really support it, they don't
Mhm.
support it. So it was like a little side project that I kind of just was like, let me make It's Regular a real thing and
Mhm.
see where it goes. So I dropped some merch. It did decent for me not putting no marketing or
Mhm.
not having like no team or no
Yeah.
huge budget. It was just literally just something I'm like, let me try it, see what I
I
do.
think I remember seeing one of your captions and it said that. Is that like a manifesting thing? Like, was part of like it's regular, like manifesting that this is like my regular life. Like this
Mhm.
is what I'm doing every single day. Like,
Mhm. It's like a mix of like LA slang and
mhm.
then just like my own twist of like this is like it's like a grind thing for me. Like
Mhm.
it's regular, it's almost like it's nothing. Like it's regular, like this is just what I do. But
Mhm.
also like it's literally regular, like it's my regular activity.
Mhm.
It's something that I'm pursuing. I've been pursuing for my whole life
Yeah.
that I want to grow into more.
Mhm.
So it's really just for like anybody out there that's a hustler, that has a passion,
Mhm.
and it's like a term that you could just relate to.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. I saw you pull something out.
Oh,
Get
yes, yes,
out.
yes. I also wanted to just share too. I brought some, I mean, also just like
Yeah, great. And what's her show your set. And what's it
Yes.
Yeah, I've
called?
been
In
looking
case you
at it the
guys
whole
want that
time.
set. What's it called?
So this is called Rich
I
Auntie.
want that
Ooh.
set.
It's just giving the vibes of like I wore this to a trip to Atlanta.
Yeah.
And that's actually what I made these nails for that trip. But it just like, you think about that auntie who wears furs
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the most expensive like
Mhm.
perfumes. Like that's just the energy of what these
Yeah.
are giving. And then I also brought just so folks could see some of my packaging. So I do create handmade, reusable salon quality press on nails.
Yes. So you
Um,
hand make every set?
Yes, I do.
I love that.
Yes,
Wow.
yes.
That's quality.
Yes, yes. I'm an artist, so I
Mhm.
want you to feel and have that intention of like this is crafted
A
for
personal
you.
experience.
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
Ooh.
And I even do something fun where I'll put like a QR code
Mhm.
on my nails.
Yeah.
Smart.
Just something
Yeah.
Right,
like
so when they
fun
ask,
and
'cause they
interesting.
will.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Face.
Exactly.
Skin
And it
face.
comes with the all the things that you need. On your first order, you get like a cuticle oil as
Mhm.
well. So I try to add like little extra touches
Mhm.
to make it more special.
I like that.
Yes,
I'm gonna get one.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a cop.
Okay, you guys. So I always like to ask everybody who comes on the podcast about if there's a time where you consider quitting what you were doing.
Mm.
Just because there's so many people who might feel like they're stagnant in their journey. Maybe they're in a place where it's like, well, I used to be doing this, but now I'm just not doing it. Or is this really what I'm supposed to do? Like, talk about what you do to power through. Like, what's your mindset behind like being consistent? Because to be consistent, you have to also get past the hard times.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yes. So for people who are thinking about quitting.
yeah, or you can
Sorry.
share a time about if you ever felt like there was a time where it's just too much. Like, can I do
Yes.
this?
That's actually a narrative. Okay, so you're speaking to me as someone who's fairly new in
Mhm.
my journey. And
Yeah.
so um that perspective of like, am I going the right way? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Like that dialogue comes up
Mhm.
quite frequently.
Yeah.
But I have to tell myself like this is if I were to quiet all the noise, right? All of the demands of like bills and going on social media and seeing other people and what they have, kind of like that noise coming at me. If I quiet all that noise and if all of my needs are met, I would still be doing this.
Yeah.
So that is the thing that keeps me coming back to it
Yeah.
and knowing that, okay, this is the plan that me and the universe came up with, right? The
Mhm.
universe is always seeking to expand.
Yeah.
And the ideas that I have in my mind, like, I'm not going to just let them die in the mind. I
Yeah.
want to see them in the world.
Yeah.
So you really have to like push through that.
Yeah.
And the way you're going to do that is if you're doing the thing that actually brings you joy.
Yeah.
Because if it's something that you hate doing,
You might need to quit.
yes, you're not gonna have the energy to do it.
Right. So if you hit your first bump and you like, I can't, like, that might be your sign. Like, it's not your thing. And you should listen to that. I feel like quitting is okay. Because sometimes you need to quit. It might not be your thing, or maybe you need to quit doing it how you're doing it.
Right. I quit that job.
Yeah, exactly.
Same as you. Like, I feel like in my thing, like in my journey or whatever with my career, it's so dependent, not on me. Like, it's dependent on almost everything except for me.
Yeah.
So everything be out of my control, and I'd be like, oh my God, why you not text me back? Why you don't do this? Why you can't do this? Oh my God, when are you gonna place it? When do you want to drop it? It's like everything is outside of me. So I'd be wanting to give up a lot sometimes. Like, you know what? Why did I choose this? Why did I choose such a hard thing to do? But I feel like when you really, like you said, you just love to do something and you would do it even if nobody knew what you was doing. That's something that you're good at. I feel like that's something you want to keep doing. And for me, when it comes to songwriting, it's something I've been doing since I was a little kid. It's one of the only things I feel like I'm truly good at. You know what I'm saying? So there's no way I'm gonna quit. I've been doing it for too long. But when I want to quit, I would say I have like every like 3 to 4 months, I just kind of like run out of energy and I'm like, I just need a little break. Like, I've been going too hard. These sessions ain't really paying off. When's my next win gonna be? You know, so I feel like that happens every couple months. You know what I'm saying? Every chapter, every end of the season, you kind of go through those little moments where you're like, okay, let me sit down, let me reflect, let me get my energy back. I feel like in LA and just in the industry, depending on what industry you in, there's always this like hustle culture narrative that you just have to go nonstop, 24/7. And it's like, look, I'm a human being,
right? Not a robot.
Yeah, like I need to take a little break. I don't feel like doing this right now. So every couple of months, honestly. But you know, if you really love it, you're gonna get back into it. Or like you said, like sometimes you might just need to adjust.
Yeah.
Like, I have a problem of like sometimes getting too clingy to shit. Like, and I just need to let it go and just relax and let it flow how it's gonna flow, you know? So I feel like every so often, honestly.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel like I've had a couple of times where I quit. Like, you actually caught me at one of those times where I was done with life. Like, honestly, like, it's kind of embarrassing. It's not embarrassing, but it is what it is. But, you know, I was like, I'm done with passion fruits. Like, I'm done trying to create. Like, it's not leading to anything. I'm just going to get a regular job. Didn't last. It never does. But I was giving up. Like, and then I had seen her. I was working the drive-through. And then there was Zaida.
So random.
And I was like, see, this is not me. Like, this is not life right now. This is not me. But if you're having a hard time, just power through. And like Zaida said, breaks. Breaks are important because I found that it's all about like an ebb and flow. You're going to have times where you're going to be super active. And there's also times where it's going to be like a little slower, maybe not so much going on. But I feel like both times are necessary because we're not robots.
Yeah, you're not. It's definitely a balance for sure.
Definitely. So, okay. So now we're going to get a little bit personal. And no, you guys just ask people. I'm going to pick some questions. Okay. This is a good one. This is We're Not Really Strangers. Okay. So, has a stranger ever changed your life?
Has a stranger ever changed my life? I wouldn't say a stranger has changed my life, but I do feel like, because I'm like a spiritual person at times, and I feel like there's certain like moments in my life where like maybe I just had a tower moment, something went really bad or wrong, and like you will be searching for like some sort of sign or want some sort of sign, some sort of guidance, and it will sometimes come in a random stranger, a form of a random conversation. Sometimes it had been through like a homeless person. They'll give you the most game. So I definitely feel like they will have little messages that kind of like, okay, you know what? I think I needed to hear that, and let me like take that a little serious. You know what I'm saying? So I've had moments like that. Yeah.
This is like maybe like a super insignificant thing, but it just stands out in my mind. I remember I was like picking up some pies for my job. We were doing something for Black History Month. And a Uber driver came to pick me up with the pies.
Yeah.
And he was telling me he was a Black man. He was like, oh yeah, I'm just here. I went to Africa, but I'm back here just trying to get some more money to go back. And he was driving as he was talking. He was like, all of this here. And we're like driving over. It's like so scenic, driving over the San Francisco Bridge.
Mhm.
He's just like, all of this here is background noise.
Yeah.
And that stood out to me because this guy just had so much focus. And it was just palpable.
Yeah.
And he stood out in my mind till this day. And this was
Mhm.
like back in 2018.
Yeah.
But something about his energy and his focus like stood out to me. And maybe that's why he's coming to me now, because it's like, yeah, I'm focusing on my what I got going on right
everything
now.
else is just background noise. Yeah,
Yes.
that's actually really valuable, because even when we're talking about like bills and stuff, because as creatives, I don't care what field you're in, like even if it is small business, it gets hard because it's like the bills are gonna keep coming
Mhm.
every
Bills
month.
don't stop
Yeah.
every
They
month.
don't stop.
Never.
I can't get 1 month off.
Okay.
Ew.
They
Nothing is
just
certain
keep
with that.
rolling. It's like, dang, I just paid.
I just paid you.
Yes. But when we're focusing on something that we feel like is really for us, you do have to clear out the background noise, even the bills sometimes, because like that's external. And it's
Yes.
just like staying focused and staying consistent and like what you want to do, regardless of everything else, I feel like is very important. Let me see. I've had a couple stranger experiences that have been very, very interesting. Like, and it's always like when I'm just chilling in the parking lot or
Yeah.
something, like in my car. I remember this guy, he like, I think I was getting like champagne for an event or something out of a Bevmo. I was like sitting in my car about to take off, and then like I could tell that this person, like he made eye contact with me, and he was coming to my car, and I'm just like, oh, okay, like maybe he'll go away, but he didn't. So he came up to me, and then like he just started sharing all this information, like saying all these different things, and like he was like, write down a name or whatever. Like he was like, is there anything or anybody that you're not sure about? He gave me a paper and he said, write down the name or whatever. And he literally, without looking at the paper, told me somebody's name. Somebody that was one of my friends, like, well, frenemies, really. Yeah, he was right, but I didn't know what to make of it. But like, I was like, that is a divine experience, because I'm just like, sometimes it's like we can think about spirituality and be like, oh yeah, spiritual, but then stuff like that, I'm like, you don't know me at all. You don't know me at all. I've never met you, and for you to tell me to write down a name and then you tell me, I was just like, that's crazy.
Yeah,
Maybe he's a
how do you
psychic or
explain
something.
that? Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Let's pick another one. I think I asked another one of these. Okay. When you're asked how are you, how often do you answer truthfully?
Never. No, just kidding. I was just thinking about something like that too. Like, why do we just jump to say, I'm good, how are you? You know what I'm saying? Like, why can't you just be like, today I had a long day, but I would say not often. Probably just because I'm just programmed to just say I'm good and and just kind of keep it pushing. So I would say it was how often you answer truthfully? Yeah, not often.
How do you feel like your life would be different if you did answer truthfully more often?
I would be more present with myself in the moment and like feel more authentic to myself, and like maybe be more vulnerable off rip instead of kind of like being more guarded. Maybe people would be able to kind of like see into me a little bit easier because I'm being literally honest with you. Like, I'm not having a good day or I'm having an amazing day. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 10% of the time I'm truthful about it, and then like what you were saying that kind of came to me was like, at least for me, I feel like people don't give a damn about like what how I'm doing. Like if I'm being real, like it's mostly like muscle memory at this point when it comes out, because we live in this culture of like, oh, fake politeness kind of like thing. But like, to answer your question about like how my life would change, like and this question has actually come up for me a couple of times over the past week. So I'm like, okay, maybe I need to like really reflect on this right now. But if I were to be more honest about it, I think I would be more intentional about creating the feeling that I want myself to feel in that moment. If you were to be like, oh, how are you feeling? And I'll take that moment and be like, I'm actually on top of the world right now. Like how like my energy would just like skyrocket. So I'm gonna practice that and get back to you.
I would say I probably, I think I'm getting better at being honest. I think one of the things that I learned from last year, especially because I did have like some friendships and stuff like fall apart. I'm like, I think a lot of the stuff fell apart because I wasn't being honest enough. Like, not even just like if somebody's asking me how I'm doing, but just like those little things that maybe somebody does that doesn't make you feel the best, but you never really speak up. And then it's just like things start to spiral, things start to add up. So now the people that I interact with, I really challenge myself to try to be like more honest because it makes me feel better too. Because then I don't feel like I have to pretend that I'm okay all the time. Because what about if you're really not okay?
Right. Like, what about those moments?
Yeah,
For sure.
because that can happen. All right. Oh, okay. We're at 40 minutes. It went by really fast.
It did.
Do you guys have anything special coming up that you guys want to talk about?
Yeah, so I'm actually going to be hosting a polish party
Oh yeah.
on February 14th.
And you just sold out your pre-sale tickets, right?
Yeah, so my early bird tickets
Hey.
are sold out, but I do have some regular tickets still available. I'm keeping it small because I want it to be an intimate setting for us to come together to create press on nails. You'll create your own handmade press on nails, but also I say you come for the nail art, but you really stay for the connections.
Yeah.
And so, yes, it's for anybody who's interested. Don't be alone on Valentine's Day. You got nothing going. That was me last year, so I was like, this year's not gonna be it.
Yeah.
So February 14th, 6:30 to 9:30, in Los Angeles at Aura Creatives Co.
Okay. Nice.
Fire. Nothing specific. I feel right now I'm just in a mode of like, self-reflecting and just ducking off and doing my work, doing what I need to do. But I am manifesting and closing my first publishing deal.
Oh, nice.
So that hopefully will be done soon.
Yeah.
Other than that, just grinding, working. I mean, there's definitely a handful of like artist cuts that are just sitting in the pipeline. But
Marinating.
yeah, marinating until they're ready to come out. So I'm just being patient and just trying to like do what I need to do and wait for things to open up.
That's great because my last question was actually going to be like, what's your biggest dream? So if we're just manifesting at the top of your head, like what's the biggest thing that you would like to accomplish in life?
In life.
Or just in regard to, your business or songwriting or artistry.
I have two things. For one, I would love to write a record for Rihanna.
Oh, yeah.
Once I do that, I might retire.
Hey.
Other than that, I definitely want to turn It's Regular into like a big, I don't even know if I would call it brand or just a company where we do multiple things like merch, concerts, what do they call it? Like tours or festivals, like the Rolling Loud and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Like It's Regular Fest. And then also too like some sort of like community house for like kids where like it's a big old creative community house.
Oh, that's nice.
For like kids. Like It's Regular, I don't know, It's Regular studio or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, I love that.
Yes. Oh, I was gonna say if you are able to get Rihanna out of retirement, like that would be absolutely amazing.
I'm just waiting patiently.
Yes.
Kind of like one of my biggest dreams is to create spaces, not nationally and internationally, for folks to come together and create nail art. So I see kind of like spaces all throughout the country where I do that. So
Oh, that would be so cool.
yes.
All right, you guys. I just want to thank you guys
What about
sincerely.
you?
Oh, what about me? Okay. My biggest dreams would be I would actually love to have like a talk show. Like besides the podcast, I think for a long time, one of my dreams is to have like a show because this is fun. I would totally do this like every day.
Oh, fine.
And I would say I want to have a #1 chart and Billboard song.
Period.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be great. So,
we're working on it. It's the top of the year.
yeah.
So we'll check back in with each other.
Right, I might have to link up with Zaida.
December 2024, we're going to tap back in. Like.
Yes. Well, ladies, it's been a pleasure to have you guys on the podcast. Thank you guys so much for coming and sharing yourselves with me today. You guys make sure to tune in every single Friday. Also, I just want to go ahead and mention to you guys that we do have an event coming up April 7th. Make sure to come out. We're going to have a live podcast. We're going to have small business vendors. If you want to be a vendor, links are in the bio now. You guys can check it out. Reserve your space. We already talked about ad placements and things like that. That's also available all at passionfruitsla.com. So this has been Passion Fruits, the podcast. Thank you so much, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.